Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's Padlet lesson, in which we will be learning about bias in media. You will participate in activities which align to the AASL Standard 2 include by adopting a discerning stance toward points of view and opinions expressed in information resources. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to define bias, explain how to identify bias in media, and demonstrate your understanding by evaluating websites for credibility and accuracy. You will complete this lesson by answering the discussion question: why do you think it is important to consider perspective, bias, and presentation when interacting with media? I encourage you to consider the sources you will be learning from today and to evaluate them, the new tools that you gain from these activities. The layout of our Padlet is designed linearly from left to right, so you should follow the topics in their presented order. The first source that you have available is a student-friendly wiki, which gives you the definition of bias, as well as examples of what it might look like in media. Reading through this, you will quickly recognize that you have encountered bias before. Your next resource is a short video exploring the history of media. It will give you some insight as to why it is so important to develop media literacy as a skill and learn to identify bias in modern media. Below that is a short web page which will give you a brief introduction to methods for detecting bias in media. Under the Detecting Bias in Media topic, your first source provides a great breakdown of how to identify bias in media by asking yourself questions about the source information, such as from whose point of view is the news reported, or are there unchallenged assumptions? Below that, you will find an infographic which shows the major news media outlets and some smaller ones as well as where they fall on a political spectrum, what kind of news they cover, and whether they primarily report facts or opinions or a balance. The last source under this tab is a visual guide showing you the features of a website you should pay special attention to while evaluating a web source. Under the How to Identify Sources topic, you will find a toolbox of resources to evaluate almost any kinds of source. That's going to be this one right here. You should explore these tools and consider the different ways that bias can be presented in different kinds of information. If you select this one, you'll see that you have evaluation tools, fact-checking websites, a reminder video, as well as some short journals that you should not trust. So this is a great toolbox that you can use anytime. Beneath this toolbox, you will find a quick guide by commonsensemedia.org about how to select sources for school assignments. This may be helpful as you begin completing research tasks for your classes on the open web. So this will be really helpful for when you're doing those research tasks on your own and you want to make sure that you're using credible information in the classroom. The last topic in our Padlet bias practice provides you with practice on identifying bias. The very first source, this one right here, has a vast collection of articles which illustrate bias. After you have viewed all of the previous topics, so after you have viewed what is bias, a brief introduction, detecting bias in media, and how to identify sources, you should select an article of interest from this website, read it, and answer the questions at the end to evaluate your ability to understand and identify bias. If you find that you struggled, this is a good time to go back and review the previous sources. Below this collection of websites is a Wiser worksheet. This is the ultimate challenge of your knowledge and will put your understanding of bias to the test. You will be provided with articles that you must evaluate for credibility on your own. These sources should help you gain an understanding of bias in media and help you identify credible sources so that you can be informed in the future about the topics you choose to pursue and, in turn, become a credible source yourself.